Tune in for a tale, words that set sail.
Digital Splendor, Literature Illuminated.
All right, welcome. Today we're diving into a nearly 400-year-old text that honestly reads more like a declaration of war. It's this fiery speech that was never actually spoken, but its written words, man, they helped build the very foundation of free speech and a free press. This is the story of John Milton's Areopagitica. But before we get into the weeds, let me just ask you this. Imagine for a second if every article you read, every video you watched, had to get a stamp of approval from some government official before it ever got to you. That exact world is what Milton was up against. So here's our roadmap for unpacking this thing. First, we're going to look at the censor stamp that kicked this whole thing off. Then we'll see how Milton traces its, not-so-great history. We'll get into his big idea that virtue has to be tested, and then his incredible faith that truth always wins in the end. And finally, we'll see why this all still matters so much today. To really get this, you have to picture the scene. It's the 1640s. The English Civil War is raging. It's absolute chaos. And right in the middle of it, in 1643, Parliament, the very people fighting the king for more freedom, they passed this really shocking law called the Licensing Order. And just 1 year later, a totally furious John Milton fires back. Okay, so let's get right into what this law was all about. Parliament, the supposed champions of liberty, basically said that no book could be printed without getting a license from a state censor first. I mean, the irony is just staggering, right? It's like they were trading one type of tyranny for another. And this has a name. It's called pre-publication censorship. See, it's not about punishing someone after the fact for something they published. No, this is about stopping an idea from ever seeing the light of day. You can kind of think of that 17th century licensor as a government-run content moderation algorithm, with the power to hit delete before anyone can even hit publish. And this is where our hero, John Milton, jumps into the ring. Now, he was already a big deal poet, but he decided to use his pen like a weapon, and he crafted one of the most powerful defenses of intellectual freedom that has ever been written. So, how does Milton kick off his attack? Well, it's brilliant. He doesn't start with some lofty philosophy, he starts with history. He basically turns to Parliament and asks this devastatingly simple question: where did you guys even get this horrible idea from? And this is where he gets really clever. He points out that the great democracies, ancient Greece and Rome, they never did this. Sure, if someone published something blasphemous, they'd punish the author, but they never stopped the idea itself from being published. He then argues that this specific tool, pre-publication censorship, was actually invented by the Catholic Inquisition to crush any ideas they didn't like. And he does not mince words. He's telling Parliament, a bunch of very devout Protestants, that they've just picked up a weapon straight from the arsenal of their worst enemy. It's like he's saying, congratulations, you've become the very thing you claim to hate. Milton even makes fun of the official jargon of censorship. That word imprimatur, it's Latin for let it be printed, was literally stamped on books that got approved. For Milton, this stuffy, foreign-sounding word was just a symbol of this ridiculous and tyrannical control over English thought. But Milton's not done. He doesn't just stick to attacking the law's history. He goes way deeper, and he starts building this incredible philosophical argument about what it really means to be a good person. This is probably his most famous line ever. You see, for Milton, books aren't just paper and ink. They are alive. They contain the, quote, precious lifeblood of a master spirit. They are basically the containers for human reason itself. So yeah, killing a person is a horrific crime, but you've only killed one person. Destroying a good book through censorship, Milton argues that's even worse, because you're trying to assassinate reason itself. You're trying to kill an idea for all time. And this quote, this gets to the absolute core of his next point. He's saying that a virtue that's just locked away, kept in a safe little bubble, protected from every bad idea, well, that isn't really virtue. It's just ignorance. It's a fugitive virtue, always on the run from the real world. So here's the bottom line. For Milton, you can't be truly good unless you actually understand what evil looks like and then freely choose to reject it. Censorship, by trying to wipe out bad ideas, actually stops us from developing real, tough, resilient virtue. It just makes us weaker. Okay, now we're getting to the absolute peak of Milton's argument. This is the stuff that has inspired free speech defenders for centuries. It all comes down to his powerful, almost religious faith in the power of truth itself. To get his point across, Milton uses this amazing metaphor. He asks us to imagine truth as this perfect, beautiful body that was then tragically hacked into a million pieces and scattered everywhere. Our job, he says, is to go around finding these pieces and putting truth back together. But how on earth can we do that if the censors won't even let us look for them?
And there it is, the knockout punch. This is Milton's ultimate challenge. He's basically saying, don't be scared, put truth and falsehood in a wrestling ring together and let them have at it. He is completely 100% confident that in a fair fight, a free and open encounter, truth will win. Every single time. It doesn't need to be protected, it just needs a chance to fight.
And this is the cry from the heart that drives the entire work. For Milton, this freedom, the freedom to learn, to speak your mind, to argue, it's not just another liberty. It is the liberty. It's the one that all the others are built on.
So why are we talking about some pamphlet from 1644? Well, because Milton's ideas didn't just die on the page. They exploded out into the world and pretty much helped build the one we live in today.
I mean, the impact of Areopagitica is just massive. You can draw a straight line from its arguments to the whole concept of a free press. It directly influenced the English Bill of Rights, and you can totally hear echoes of Milton's free and open encounter in the philosophy behind the U.S. First Amendment. His ideas literally set the terms of the debate for centuries to come.
Which of course leaves us with a really tough question for today. Milton had this incredible faith that truth would always win in a free and open encounter. But in our world, with social media algorithms designed to make things go viral, is the fight still free and open? How do we balance Milton's amazing idea with the very real harm that misinformation can cause? It's a debate he started almost 400 years ago, and it's one we are still wrestling with right now.